This is the Batman Cave podcast, and I'm your host, Bat, aka Scott Johnson, and it's my man cave. On this show, we talk about stuff that interests most guys, like video games, guns, shooting, movies and TV shows, product reviews, and so much more. In this man cave, guys, it's okay to leave the seat up. So today, in this episode, I wanted to have a quick conversation about the live stream reveal of Bungie's highly anticipated sequel, Destiny 2. This game releases on consoles on September 8th and looks like it'll come to PC sometime after that in what I hear 4K. My very special guest today to help me sort through the changes and the new aspects of this upcoming game is my friend and local Destiny expert, Brian Smith, aka TheGolfDoc. Welcome, Mr. Doc, to the show.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So today, we are one day away from the Destiny 2 reveal from LA, and I wanted to just put together a quick show on Destiny 2 and what's going to be different about it. Is it going to be different? Is it going to be worth something for people who didn't pick up Destiny 1 to maybe take a serious look at? But first, couple of information, just a little information about Destiny, the first Destiny, the first, I guess they call it. It released just a couple of years ago in 2014, so in September. It was a very highly anticipated game when it came out, but then it had some mixed reviews. In our case, in our little gaming community, we were pretty much looking at this game as purely a co-op potential, something that four of us could play through together. But upon getting the game, we reached out to you, actually, to encourage you to try to think about picking it up as well. But you typically are not a co-op gamer. You're more of the shooter type, right?
Correct. Okay. I'm more of like I want to compete. That's my thing. I want to get in. Call of Duty type stuff was what I played mostly, Gears of War. And never campaigns. I don't think I've completed one campaign.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. And we've tried to get you to play campaigns, or I guess the middle of the road would be then co-op, right? So that you're actually doing it with your friends. But so we did that as a ploy to try to get you to get the game, and you did. But soon after, you found yourself, really, really liking this game, and you've even said that this is probably one of your all-time favorite games, right?
I'm still playing it today. 95% of the time what I play is Destiny.
So tell me why. What about Destiny captured your attention?
Well, first of all, as you know, you were there on the phone with me when I first got this, and the fact that I had to play through missions first before I could get to multiplayer kind of ticked me off quite a bit, and I was getting frustrated with it. And then I got into multiplayer, and it was different. It was it's one of those games that I've said a number of times in multiplayer, when you take some time off of it, not that I've taken much time off of it, but when you do take some time away from it, it takes a few games to get back into it because it's a different play style for some reason. Mm-hmm. But when I got into it, I was ticked. I was out. I remember downloading this because I was on the road at the time in Hawaii. I remember downloading the game. You're chatting with me about, dude, pick this up. We're going to do it. It's going to be a fun game to co-op. I was like, I had been looking at it because one of the guys that I followed for Gears of War was Arctic, mm-hmm. and he had been playing Destiny, and it looked, it was different for me as far as a shooter. I never got into any type of fantasy world, anything. Everything was, I wanted sim type stuff, the Call of Duty stuff.
Right.
So I'm watching his videos, but it looks pretty good. It looks like it plays pretty good. Mm-hmm. And so I thought I could get into the multiplayer. And you guys were looking at the co-op aspect of it. Right. And I remember leaving thinking, this is the stupidest game ever. I got to do 5. I got to get to level 5 before it opens multiplayer, which doesn't take long.
Right.
But and then I came back and I gave it a chance. I was by myself, and then one of our other friends sent me a message and said, "Hey, come play with me." I said, "Dude, I'm hating this game." He said, "Let me walk you through it. Let me take you through it. I just will carry you through." Mm-hmm. He said, "Don't go into multiplayer till you get to level 15, 16, something like that, where you got some better equipment and things like that, mm-hmm. and you've had a time with the game." And I'm like, "All right." So he took me through mission after mission after mission. And like I did with you guys, which, now knowing it bothered you somewhat, but he was like, all right, just sit back. We'll get you through this. We just want to get you through the missions.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, pick up all these little bounties that they had. They always have daily bounties for Crucible and daily bounties for, missions, side missions.
Right.
And so he would basically said, just pick up the bounties and we'll complete them and we'll just rank you up.
Yeah.
And then once we get to, I can't remember what level he said. I want to say it was like 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
He said, once we get you to that, then we can do nightfalls. And then once you do nightfalls, you can get better rewards, on and on and on. But what happened is he was walking me through, and then one of our other buddies, Ripo, started coming in, and he was playing the game quite a bit. And
Mm-hmm.
then one of his buddies, BMG, who now I play with every night,
Right.
was playing it. And so they were walking me through. And so it was just like, for someone who travels a lot, I was actually every night on my game system. So every night I was having people to play with.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think that drew me to it a lot is, one, these guys were walking me through and getting me through the game.
Uh-huh.
But then two, once I started getting into the multiplayer aspect of it and started really liking it, I would do the other stuff because it would give me better gear. So I would do the co-op stuff, and I would do the raids once we got to the level of doing the raids, because the raids were ridiculous as far as when there's a new raid out,
Mm-hmm.
learning the raid and learning what you have to do and learning the mechanics of it are ridiculously hard, and you need all 6 players to figure it all out. And each player pretty much has a role. And so it was really cool. Unfortunately for you, we brought you into one raid, and we were trying to get you ranked up.
Right.
So it was like, hey, just sit back here, let us walk you through it and get you through it. And again, that was not fun for you.
Yeah.
But
right.
I think had you stuck with it and had you got into, and I was telling Jason, one of our other guys, aka Low Man, who I know you probably had on the show.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about it yesterday.
He wasn't. Yeah. He had to deliver some stuff on the street, so he. Yeah.
So he called me as soon as this reveal was going on. I told him I was watching it, and he was asking my opinion, because I've been skeptical because I've loved the first one so much that I'm like, I'm really nervous about this one. What are they going to do to change it? Because really, there's not much other than storylines and things like that to change. I'm like, and I love the thing I love about the multiplayer the most, and I've said it to you all many times. I think it's the best gunplay game there is out there. I think gunplay, there's not a game that competes with it. Mm-hmm. I think the closest thing is maybe Call of Duty, but as we all complain about with Call of Duty, is you die so quick.
Right.
Now, you can die quick in this, but there's also...
Depends on who you're facing, right?
Depends on who you're facing in this game,
mm-hmm.
and it depends on the weapon you're going up against. Like, a guy can one-shot kill you with a sniper if he's good.
Right.
But or a shotgun if you're up close. But outside of that, it takes a little bit of a time to kill, around a second to a second and a half to kill, depending on the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And but I just think it handles really well. I think the movement's really good. Each character had their own movement. Yeah. And I think that's kind of fun too, kind of learning the ins and outs of each character. Each character has 3 super. Yeah, each class has 3 supers.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, learning all the ins and outs was fun for me. Plus, I think the thing that's kept me playing it so long is there's always new gear, and you can get one weapon the same, but you can get a better roll. Like mm-hmm. they have different perks in the weapons, and some of these weapons don't have the same perk every time you get them. So you can find weapons that have better perks. And if you really like a weapon, you're like, man, I really like this, but I wish I had this and this on it.
Right.
So you keep playing, like it's just like crack. You keep playing just to rank up so that mm-hmm. you can try to get that weapon. And it's like, you don't know what you're going to get. So when you go to turn something in, it's like, okay, what did I get? And you're like, yes.
Yeah. After a while, the game's not really shooting other people. The game is almost, getting.
It's like Christmas every morning. Am I going to be a surprise, or am I going to be disappointed?
Well, and a thing, you just mentioned it a second ago, like your take on Destiny and mine are different. And I think it's because for me, I think for you playing a co-op, you didn't really have anything to compare it with. For you, there was an end game, right? Was the multiplayer, was the Crucible. That was the end game for you.
Absolutely.
So for us, our mindset was a co-op game first, and Destiny wasn't really that great of a co-op game. Well,
it is a lot of, especially if you, I think as a co-op player, I did them because I was getting rewarded for doing
Right.
them. I didn't do them because I liked doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that and the thing that we've talked about over time is a lot of the strikes and a lot of the missions are the same thing over and over.
Right.
And
Exactly.
you go in and you do them because yeah, okay, I got to complete this mission. I got something, that I got to do to get, so many kills against whatever boss you're facing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go in and you do those just because you've got a bounty for them. I didn't do them because I liked doing them. Now the raids were different. I could do the raids every week, and even though it would be somewhat the same, one little screw up and it screws up the whole team. So
Right.
you get to a point where it's on autopilot. But I mean, I remember us figuring out one of the raids. It took us, we'd do every Saturday night when we get everybody together, or Tuesday nights when they would reset, we would try to do them, and it took us 3 weeks to complete one
Yeah.
because it would reset
Right.
after each week, and you're like,
Right.
oh crap, now we got to start back over.
Start
But we
over.
made progress, and it took us 3 weeks of doing it because we were horrible at the mechanics of everything.
Yeah.
But then once you got it down, you could repeat it. You could go in and get your weapons. Then you
Yeah.
could go in and try to keep doing it over and over to get what you wanted out of it,
Right.
and it was fun.
Yeah, and
You're
I can see I can definitely see the draw of that versus just the regular mission stuff, because
yeah.
we've talked about before, like when we would play the mission stuff, whether by yourself or with co-op, whatever. I mean, you would go to an area because you're thinking you look on your map, okay, we need to go over here, and you go to that area and you come across some like enemy in a certain area, and you take 10 minutes or whatever to kill them and clean them out, and maybe got damaged, or maybe I got killed, or I don't know, whatever. And you get
Yeah.
through that area and you go a little bit further down and you go, oh shoot, we're in the wrong spot. Well, let's turn around and go turn around and go back. And you
Yeah.
turn around and go back to that same spot, and the same enemy is spawned in the exact same location, and you had to go
Yes.
through them again. It's like,
Yes.
this is like mind numbing. I don't want to have to do that over and over and over. So definitely the raid that I played with you guys was much better. The unfortunate thing,
Yes.
like you said, I'm not nearly as ranked as high as you guys are. So, you
You
guys are
weren't
doing all the fighting,
participating.
and I'm just kind of like sitting in the caboose along for the ride, and
Try
it's
not to die.
for an icon. Yeah, exactly. Try not to
Exactly.
die, and doing like zero damage basically on any of the enemy, and for over an hour, or
And I
two.
got where that was not fun. And I was
Yeah.
talking with Jason about that very fact yesterday. I said, I'd even mentioned you in that
Mm-hmm.
because we had done that raid. And I said, I really think you guys would have loved the raids if you had given enough time to work yourself up. And that's why pulling people through and ranking them up to where then now they can participate
Right.
makes a bigger difference as far as the raid. I agree with you. Like the campaign, or what they call the campaign, where the story missions and stuff,
Right.
they're repetitive.
Yes.
And they're boring.
Boring. Yeah.
And the strikes, are good the first couple times, and if you're at a certain level, there's a challenge to it. But then once you rank up past that level, like even going back and seeing, if you go the wrong way on the map and you come back and you see those enemies again, if you're above those enemies as far as rank, then it's nothing. Just wipe them out and move on. But again, then there's no challenge in that again.
Right.
So
Well,
that's the thing with the raid is always fairly challenging.
right. Yes.
And I think that is the end game for the co-op type player,
Right.
is the raid.
Right.
But the thing they did is they made it to where you had to work so hard to get to that level, to get up to that level to be able to do the raid, which
Right.
was good and bad, because then most time you were going to get in with people
Right.
and do it. So
I think another negative on the game, that because the problem is that let's say a gamer like you, as you just said, you're on the road a lot, and every night you're able to game. So every
Yes.
night you're able to rank up and get higher rank and more stuff.
absolutely.
For me, I may be able to play twice or three times a week. And you're obviously, you and a couple of those guys were way advanced, and
One
so,
doesn't have kids.
yeah, exactly.
And
it's one of those things where other co-op games have done it better, where they would, like the Division, for instance. You get in the Division, it didn't matter if you were a level 30 and I was a level 10. The enemy that you engaged would engage on you depending on your level.
Well, yeah,
And
but that was a problem for me in division is because a lot of you guys were ranking up quickly, and I
yeah,
would go in at a level 10, and you guys would be a level 25,
yeah,
and then I'm sitting there going, eh, you
yeah.
know,
Well, I mean,
I thought
and the
I
division
thought the
was,
division did a lot of good
it
things,
did, but I mean,
except it did not have a multiplayer or a competitive game mode.
right, there
The
wasn't a
dark
competitive
zone
thing.
was the dark zone was but
Right,
it got
right, right.
annoying more than anything.
Well, I mean,
So
and that's the probably I'm hoping this is something they're thinking about, changing, I guess, or whatever for Destiny 2 is that idea of and the hard thing then from if you're behind the curve and you're trying to grind it out, but you only have a limited amount of time to actually spend on the game to grind it out, you'll never catch up with like you guys or whatever. But going into multiplayer at that point, you're still way behind the curve, and even if you are a good shooter, it really doesn't matter as much because you're a level 20 and everybody else in there's a level 40s with guns and
well,
stuff. That's much,
that's not true for most of Crucible. That's
yeah.
true for their main events, Iron Banner,
Uh huh.
and that's true for Trials.
Which was the
Now,
first stuff though, right?
no, the
No?
first stuff was just regular Crucible. Iron Banner was from the beginning. Iron Banner is something that was level specific.
All right.
And if you were level 5 and they were a level 20, which I think they wouldn't even let you in unless you were level 20 at
I was
that
going
time.
to
You had to
say,
be level 20 to
yep.
be into Iron Banner.
Right.
But if you weren't at that level, then you couldn't get in. But if you're in that level and someone else is say a 30 and you were a 20, yeah, you're going to notice the difference.
Yeah.
And that was somewhat annoying at first.
Yes. Right.
But for regular Crucible,
Mm-hmm.
level didn't matter. I think what mattered though was if you're level 5, then obviously you haven't had the time to get certain weapons.
Yes.
And it's not so much the weapon itself, but the perks that come on those weapons, as I was talking about. A guy who's played it and up to level 20, he's probably had 5 iterations of a certain weapon, or he's got some better weapon that has better perks.
Mm-hmm.
So then that becomes a little bit of an issue.
Right.
But
Balance.
it's not level specific. The only
Okay.
thing that's really level specific is the main thing, which was Trials of Osiris, which is probably one of the reasons I still play it today. And then, even though I suck at it, and then Iron Banner.
Yeah. Well,
So
let's move on to Destiny 2. So here's the question.
okay.
After the reveal, in your opinion, what's changed? I mean, you've probably read some stuff. I read a little bit. I tried to watch a couple videos actually on Happy Gamer, and they didn't. I watched a little bit of a cinematic. I'm like, I don't really care about the cinematic trailers. I want to see the gameplay. That one didn't come up. So, what's different? Besides a bunch of the little bitty stuff. What's the main differences?
Well, I think they basically. Here's my question on the co-op side. I'm not sure how much different it's going to be for you from a challenge standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure. I think the repetitive standpoint is going to somewhat still be there. That's the downside. Obviously, there's going to be a new raid, which this one's going to feature. Each raid had someone different. Like they had Atheon in the Bolt of Glass for the first one. Crota's End, which was a hive-based boss. King's Fall raid, which is more of the Taken king or whatever. And then Wrath of the Machine. They're going to have a new one, and it's going to be based on the Cabal. And the Cabal they attack the tower. So the tower that you go to for your social space and all that, where you go and you meet up and you get rewarded for all your stuff, that's getting taken over right at the beginning of the game and destroyed, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts out with loss. So, and not only loss of the tower and loss of that part of the earth or whatever, but it's also loss of your powers, I guess. You're going to lose some of your powers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the game is about recovering those things.
Mm-hmm.
As far as campaign wise, I think is about recovering those things. I believe I don't know if they're all new supers or just they're adding a new super per character. But here's the thing. None of your characters transfer over.
Right.
So you're starting at the same level as I am right away.
Hence the tower being destroyed and all your stuff being destroyed is obviously a nod to saying we're starting over.
Your vault's gone.
Yeah,
your vault's gone. Yeah. No more weapons that are allowed there. So that's new. The one thing that I'm interested about as the competitive side of me,
mm-hmm.
In Crucible, there was 3v3 game modes,
mm-hmm.
which some people really liked and thought they were good because they were closer to what a competitive is in like Gears of War and in like Halo, I guess.
Right.
And then
A little more strategic and team
more
play.
strategic, more team play. And then there were 6v6 game modes, which were like the team deathmatch stuff that were just chaos.
Right.
They were, the whole control issue, which is, you had 3 flags. You try to control a couple of them and get kills in between. And it's just utter chaos to some people. Some people like that. What they've done, and I'm kind of interested in this, and I'm kind of excited for it, is they went competitive and looked at the competitive scene that they finally got because people were doing matchmaking in Destiny 1 because they didn't have private mode for a long time. So they would match up with people who were closer together and keep trying to go into matchmaking until they got paired with each other to play games. And they were actually doing tournaments this way, which was annoying. There'd be 30 minutes of trying to get paired with each other. And then they finally came out with private games. When they came out with private games, you started seeing a lot more people trying to do 4v4 tournaments. So now all the Crucible game modes will be 4v4s across the board. So there will be no 6v6. I don't think there will be a 3v3. It's all 4v4, which to me, I think should be a good change. I think that'll be good, but we'll reserve judgment. And they got a new game mode called Countdown, and I think a couple new game modes, but the one that they featured was called Countdown. I guess that the people could play through yesterday. Yeah. And I don't know much about that. It's more of a attack and defend type game mode from what they said. Obviously there'll be a new raid, new missions, new strikes, more cinematics, which that's right up my alley. More cinematics.
Yeah, everybody.
Let's see. There's going to be new worlds. So the new worlds they're still going to have Earth, but then there's this one called Io. There's another one called Nessus or something like that, and I can't remember what the third or the fourth one is. But they're going to have new worlds, so there'll be a new social space. Obviously, now that the other one got destroyed.
Right.
The cool thing for me too is, as you know, playing a little bit of Destiny, you would go to the tower, get your stuff, do whatever you had to do, and then you'd go back out of orbit, and then you'd go pick out your world that you were going to, and then you go down. Well, now you're not going to have to go into orbit. You're going to be able to just pick on your map where you want to go, and it'll take you there. You're not going to have to go sit in orbit.
Sitting waiting in an orbit lobby and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. There's going to be so in those worlds, you used to be able to do patrols. That's where you would do the missions.
Right.
There would be public events that would pop up and stuff. There's going to be little things on your map now that pop up showing you where a public event is and when it's going to happen, and you can go and just join there if you want. There's going to be another cool thing, I think, from a co-op perspective that they're adding is there's going to be characters within these worlds that you'll meet that'll take you and lead you on side missions. And then these side missions will give you treasure and stuff. But then there's also going to be a thing called lost sectors. And these people in these maps will point you to lost sectors that you had to go and discover. And there will be a boss in those lost sectors. And then you'll get rewarded for killing the boss because he'll have some sort of key that will unlock like treasure chests. There's going to be treasure maps and stuff as well. And all these things will show up on your map, and you can just go right to them. You won't have to go into orbit and then find the world and stuff that you want to go into. So I think that sounds interesting, even to me.
Right.
It sounds interesting to maybe play around with that and see.
Well, there's multiple ways to go and get stuff as a group instead of just two ways.
Yes. The thing I'm wondering is if it's still going to be just 3v3. I would like to see, and I don't think they'll change this, but if they're doing 4v4 Crucible, I would like to see four-person co-op.
Right.
Just because it always felt like, especially when new stuff came out, and as I was new to the game and you guys were kind of new to the game, there was only three people, and so I was like, all right, well, one or two people are left out.
Right. Yeah. It was,
and
it was a strange thing they did. It was so strange. It's like, why 3 versus 4? I didn't understand that one.
I'm not sure they'll change that. I would love for them to change that.
I would hope so. I don't think anybody was a fan of that,
Yeah. I would like for the strikes to be 4-man. I would like for the missions to be 4-man, and to be able to go into a patrol with 4 people and explore the worlds and stuff.
Yeah.
So I hope that's the case. I don't know that I got anything from that yesterday that said that it would be that way.
Yeah.
But
Well, I know
I
that
think
what I read was, I think they definitely know that their campaign was extremely lacking.
yes,
So from what I've just read initially, I've not read a lot, but what I have read initially, they did say that they are going to, I mean, they are really, really trying to work on making the campaign and the story a lot more compelling, instead of it being, cutscene driven and then repetitive gameplay, because it was kind of cheap. It was kind of cheap, a
yes,
little cheap feel,
yes.
like
Well,
you didn't
and
really get
again,
anything.
for me, it was no big deal because
Right.
that's not what I was into. But for people who are into co-op, I think that was a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
think that
was.
was something that they were, strikes are fine, but they were still repetitive. You knew who you were going to face, you knew what you were going up against, but they were still a little more challenging. The missions were, okay, well, we've done that. So that's how you basically, by completing each mission, going to the next one, that's how you completed the campaign. I think they really ramped that up. One of the things that they did in this game that again, not my kind of thing, but it was something that I thought was pretty cool for a lot of people that were into like what do they call the lore of the game, was
Right.
that you would get these Grimoire cards, and it's like, okay, what's a Grimoire card? Well, if you pick up some Grimoire card, you can go and find out more kind of detail about a weapon, or you get a Grimoire card on your character, and so there were some cool things if you were really into really wanted to go deep into like the lore of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not my thing, but I thought it was really cool that they actually did that. There were
Yeah.
podcasts that spawned off of that. There were podcasts that spawned off just Crucible.
Right.
So the greatest thing that I found with Destiny was, and I think what makes most of the games that like Halo, Call of Duty, and all those things last is community. And the Destiny community was probably one of the coolest things as far as people really trying to help other people out. Like if you weren't good at trials and you wanted to go flawless, there's people out there that'll basically put you on their back and take you through. If you wanted to go through a raid, but you're not really good, you don't have a team, there were people that would say, hey, join it. We're looking for 2 or 3 people to take through a raid. And they would take you through a raid and show you the ins and outs of it. And they called them Sherpas or whatever, like these little teachers that would take you through. So
Guides.
it was pretty cool. The community is pretty good, and that's another new thing I guess they're doing with Destiny 2 is they're really focused on that aspect of it, of community, to the point of they're putting the clans actually in the game. So when you create a clan, you put a little tagline of what your clan is all about, and people can come in and do
Find
play-alongs with you.
Yeah.
They can find you,
Yeah.
and you can open your clan up, and people can say, "Oh, well, that looks like someone I'd like to be in with," and you can do and they call them guided games, where you could go in with these people, and if you go in with them, and they kind of take you through, and you're like, "Man, this is a really cool group. Yeah, I'd like to join their clan."
Mm-hmm.
You can join that clan, and then you're always got people on in that clan that you can always play with.
Yeah.
So they're really, really, really trying to bump up this whole idea of community.
Yeah. A lot of games are going that route, which I think is a massive bonus, a plus to do that, to build community and build
that's what keeps people playing.
It does. Yeah, it does. Meeting new people.
I wouldn't be playing if BMG and everybody had quit. I'd have probably quit by now because I wouldn't have had people I was playing with. That's probably the fun part of it, is every night when I get on, and even though I'm home, I still get on every night when the kids go to bed.
Right.
I get in with guys and I play, and I'll play other games with these guys as well, but most of the time it's Destiny.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about another piece of the puzzle that I think is a huge piece, not only to Destiny 2, but to every competitive game out there. Any game out there that strives to be a competitive game and market themselves as that, and to try to gain players who are wanting to play in the competitive world, is how these games run. I know now this is Destiny is, not immune to this, just like a lot of games are not immune to this, with how, the competitive part of it ran, and with lag and stuff. And I know one thing that I just read them saying was something that I've heard a couple other different game makers talk about, is when they talk about the technology. And you and I have talked about this a lot with lag and, input lag and, you know, getting shot around the corner, and on my screen it looks like one thing, on your screen it looks like another thing, and them trying to, do whatever they possibly could to decrease the amount of lag that there was. But they do, as we all know, the famous phrase lag compensation, because they say, well, shoot, if we didn't do lag compensation, when you play against, it'd be unplayable because the people you're playing against would be way too slow. So we're basically slowing you down with a great speed, and we're speeding these guys up who have a sucky speed. And, that makes like no sense to me, but a big thing, a phrase that they're keep talking about is technology, upgrading and changing the technology, not just talking about dedicated servers anymore, because that was kind of like thought of as this is going to be the cure-all, right? We have dedicated servers now. It's not peer-to-peer. Well, and that definitely helped. But, and then they talk about, higher tick rated type of servers and yada, yada, yada. But definitely certain these games and Rainbow Six Siege is one of the games that's in the middle of upgrading their technology, that these guys are actually saying the same thing. Bungie basically said we had to take a step back and look at our technology and just basically the way that a player's actions is translated from server to other players and vice versa, all within milliseconds. So when I hear that, I have like this great sense of hope that this is going to get better and better because, I just don't know how you do a competitive league and you actually have money on the line, but yet there's lag involved in it, and you could get screwed by lag and lose out on $200,000 as a team. Yeah. So I'm like, it's time to rethink. Let's time to recreate a better wheel. But when I saw that they had actually mentioned that, I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. That's something they definitely need to do.
The thing, and I'm sure all games are like this. Don't get me wrong, but the thing that I think is interesting is when you hear all these guys talk about how much they're always in play testing, and they're always in play testing competitively against each other within the thing, and but I think overall, I think Destiny, if I were to give it a grade, I would give it close to an A, B minus, because most of the time, it's pretty good. Now here lately, it seems to be worse. And I'm wondering if that's because most of them are working on Destiny 2 and not on Destiny 1 anymore.
Right. They don't have the resources to continue. Yeah.
And you know what? I'll put up with what I'm getting in Destiny 1 right now compared to letting them work on Destiny 2, if that's the case.
And some of the times you're the bad guy, right?
I'm the bad guy most of the time.
You're the
I'm
3G
4G.
guy, yeah.
I'm on 4G most of the time. I you know what? Not
You're compensating
anymore.
Your lag, mister.
But I'll tell you, I usually don't notice it on my end, and I think that's the problem with people who are lagging. Don't notice it on their end. And now, there's times where I'm playing, if I notice that I'm like, every once in a while something's just not right. I'm like, how did that happen? I'll sit there and I'll even ask one of the guys, and if they say, "Hey, you're skipping," I'm like, "All right, let me go reset stuff," because obviously it's me. It's not them, and I don't want to tick other people off with bad connections.
Sure.
And I got to say, for the most part, even the people who have bad connections and stuff, it's not really, really, really bad. Every once in a while, you get the guy glitching across the screen.
Right.
But not like we've been playing Black Ops 2 since it's backward compatible.
Yeah.
For the last 3 days, and that game is horrible compared to Destiny.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, and again, they're not working on that.
They opened up another server because they were going to do this sale, and they're not maintaining it at all and could care less. But like you just said, though, there are companies and I think Destiny is a lot like Rainbow Six. Now, for me, Rainbow Six is a whole lot. It's a whole nother story. For me, it's a whole other level of frustration for me because it's a love and hate relationship. But both games communities have grown because of the developers staying with the game and making things better and listening to the community and I mean, and actually doing something about it, and not just
Well,
sitting
and
back.
sometimes they can listen too much.
Yeah.
The biggest, I think, competitively, the biggest issue with Destiny is they do listen to the community,
Hmm.
and they do listen a lot. And there are weapons, as anything, become what they call the meta. The weapons that's kind of everybody gravitates towards because it works really well.
Right. It's the go-to.
And then, so if it works too well,
Right.
then Destiny comes in and they nerf it. And
Yep.
then it's like, okay, well, then you got to find the next weapon, or
Uh-huh.
and it's just like, guys,
That's
and
probably across
again,
the board, though. I mean, we've played Gears of War, right? I mean, hello,
but
they're the
but
worst at it, But
and here's the thing. I remember you guys used to talk that before me was Gears of War 2, and how Gears of War 2 when it first came out was fantastic. They made an
right,
update to it and screwed it
and it
up
jacked it
forever.
everything up totally. Yeah.
Well, so if you listen to someone who's played Destiny from year one, from the very beginning, and I was there, but I was kind of a month or two after, maybe 3 months after it really had launched, was when I started in, and have been playing it nonstop since. The people who are year one people that have played, they long for the days to go back to the beginning. They're like, gosh, I just go back to the way it was. I understood this weapon was going to be overpowered and this one's going to be lower, but I could still deal with it.
Hmm.
And now they've nerfed things and they change things and they nerf things and they change things. And these guys just get so frustrated because they're like, I just want it back the way it was. And that seems to be whenever the company comes out, everything seems pretty balanced. There's going to be one or two weapons that are always going to come out that are going to be just God, God type weapon. But these companies are trying to balance things out and really work on that balance, and which is a good thing. But then again, it's a frustrating thing because
Yeah.
it's like I just got used to that.
Yeah,
That
they'll
was
they'll
good.
they'll balance and overbalance something they didn't intend to overbalance. The next thing you
Or they'll
know, they've got
change
an
something that was
overbalance.
not ever a problem anyway.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, that wasn't an
Yeah.
issue,
You
but in
shouldn't
their
even have
play
used it.
test and in their stats, it
Right.
shows up to be an issue. Like
Right.
like for Destiny, they nerfed what were called the trip mine grenades for the golden gun character, the hunter, and because they were saying that they were getting too many kills with the trip mine grenades, just in there, and people are like, well, no one ever complained of that,
Yeah, right.
But
We actually liked them.
yeah,
Yeah. Leave
yeah,
them alone. Okay, last thing here, and we're going to give this a quick look. This is what I read, but they said that a casual mode slash atmosphere is going to be added to Destiny 2, which to me is like music to my ears, because
yes,
this is the avenue for guys like me who just wasn't really into. I just couldn't get into Destiny, but
yeah,
this is a way for me to get into Destiny. That's not, the hardcore guys. It's the
yeah,
casual atmosphere where I can get used to stuff and play at leisure, rank up at leisure, and learn at leisure, which to
yes.
me, I think, perfect addition to this game.
Well, and I think that's where they're in with these guided games and getting in with a clan and finding people to play with and people who can bring you up to level if you need to be, and maybe not even need to be at level on certain things. I don't
Right.
I don't know what their thoughts are, but they really, really. I mean, and I was watching it with one of my other buddies, this BMG that that I play with. I was
Yep.
watching, and he was watching and texting me back and forth with this, and they're talking about all this clans, and we're joking around about how emotional we're getting about the community and how and how they're really making it about community, but they really, really did stress that, really made it to where people who are not into Destiny 1 could come in and sort of be a soft place to land
Yep.
and come in
Yeah.
and learn about the mechanics and learn about the game and learn about what you need to do, and people could guide them through it.
Well,
And they,
isn't that like a really smart marketing move to gain a new audience to your game? I mean,
everybody
honestly.
Absolutely. Everybody was upset that they're losing all their stuff after the 3 years you put into doing. But I'm like, but if you come out with a sequel, my thought was that's amazing because you guys don't play it anymore. I don't play with you guys as much anymore because you don't play Destiny, and that's my own thing. But
Right.
you guys don't play Destiny because it'd take forever to get up to the level to where it would even be, you know, feasible for you to get in and do raids and stuff like that. Well, now you get in and there's always going to be people that whatever your interests are, you can find people around that and then hook up with them and play
Yeah.
and create a bigger community so if so-and-so can't be on that night, but hey, Joe's on, it's going to be, there's always going to be people to play with. That's kind of what they're wanting, there's always going to be someone to play with. They mentioned that many times yesterday within part on clans and on the community. And I think they're just trying to grow the community even more. And
Sure.
one thing that struck me is one of the guys said, there's going to be more in this game than any game we've ever made at Bungie. And I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you think of Halo and what they did with that. If this is going to be more than what they've ever put into any game, but again, there's more that they can do with the
and they've
platforms and stuff.
I was gonna say too, they this game was supposed to have come out a year ago, and they've pushed it back. So that, obviously they have a lot of ideas for this game.
Yeah.
That can, once again, they can.
Someone said they had 10 years worth of content.
Yeah.
That they wanted to spread out over the Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny thing, and to me that's amazing if you have that much content that you can stretch out. Because again, it's pretty interesting for a game that didn't get real good reviews, and I think you're right. Most of the reviews that were bad were probably more on the co-op side of things. But a game that didn't get great reviews, was highly anticipated, still to this day is probably one of the top 10 games played on Xbox.
Yeah.
And on the consoles.
Right, consoles.
On consoles. And now they're getting ready to add the PC community, which I would think would be right up the alley with, a lot of the PC tech players.
Which I heard that they're not dedicated servers for PC. So
that's crazy, I think.
Yeah. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
But, well, this has been a fantastic episode. Mr. GolfDoc, appreciate your time today. And you know what, dude? I think we'll give this game another chance. Give it another chance, especially since we can all go through it together at the same levels and see what happens.
I think that'd be great. And I think the one thing they didn't have in Destiny 1 that would have helped from a multiplayer, competitive player type side when we were playing this was if they'd have had private matchmaking.
Totally.
Because we all like to get into private matches and stuff. And this way, it's a place to get in and learn.
Absolutely.
Without getting demolished.
Get burned,
hating life.
Right. No doubt. So we'll see for sure. And I know a bunch of our guys in our group anyway will end up getting it. And I'm sure we'll give it another whirl.
Sounds good.
Well, dude, I appreciate your time, and thank you for our audience for coming in and taking a listen. Appreciate you coming by. If you want to learn more about the Batman Cave Podcast, you can go to our website at batmancavepodcast.com. Check it out. Thanks for stopping by. See you later.